Hey, and welcome to SoulPlan.tv. I'm Megan Kerr, and I'm here with Carly Cathy. Hello, Carly.
Hi Megan, nice to see you. I guess it's the morning time for you back down there in New Zealand.
Well, just in the afternoon, but yes, we're a world apart, aren't we, hon?
We're a whole world apart, but hi.
Physically, anyway, but not energetically.
Not at all.
Hey, so we want to welcome you all here to this mini workshop, Guide to Living Your Soul-Filled Life. And to follow along with us and to dive deeply into this workshop, you're going to need to use these Living Your Soul-Filled Life worksheets. So if you haven't got them yet, and some of you may already have them, but if you haven't got them yet, then go to our website, www.soulplan.tv/guide. Very simple to download, print them out, and if you need to, just press pause now and go ahead and do that, and then come back and we shall begin, because we really need these to be able to work deeply in the workshop. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you've got the sheets there for you to work with, and we shall begin. I would really suggest that you take a wee break from multitasking if that's possible at all, because you're going to get the most out of the workshop that way. Okay. So, as we know, manifesting calls us to be visionary, creative, and proactive, while at the same time recognizing that we can't control everything. Manifesting calls you to bring your soul-filled ideas down from the cosmos into the physical realm. And in doing so, it calls us to be in our truth. When you're being truth, then you can do what you came here to do, and ultimately live the life you came here to live. And so there's a fine line to walk between allowing and letting, and being proactive and assertive. Somewhere in the middle is the ability to be flexible and adaptable, as well as empowered and visionary. And somewhere in the middle you are living fully in the here and now, whilst at the same time expressing your divine nature through your precious human body. And this to us is living the soul-filled life. So we're really pleased that you're joining us on this workshop today. And what we consider to be very important is that we engage the capacity to move out of just our thinking mind, out of our mental activity, and into an embodied state of awareness and openness. And so Carly is going to lead us into a very deep and appropriate centering just now. Are you ready for that, Carly?
Sure. So,
Beautiful.
what's the best thing for you to do right now is to just find yourself in a nice still place where you can put your feet on the ground and feel your sits bones on the support beneath you. You might even want to lie down, but it'll be so short that perhaps just sitting would be ideal. And so feel your feet on the ground. Bring your awareness to your breath. And just notice the inhalations and the exhalations as you slowly, gently, quietly come more and more in tune with the rhythm of your natural breath. You might begin to feel your lower abdomen expanding on the inhalation and contracting on the exhalation. And you might begin to notice, as you tune more and more into your breath, that the mind can quieten and the body can relax, and the breath can play the bridge between the body and the soul. As each inhalation, each inspiration inspires your soul, and each exhalation lets go to your soul. Each inspiration breathes the depth of your soul into your physical being, as each exhalation surrenders to the will of the soul. Just feel the truth of that the breath is the bridge between the body and the soul. The breath is that which makes the body happen. As you inspire the soul, you expire to that which you can bring into the world. So just letting yourself become intimate with the breath. For as you become intimate with the breath, you become intimate with the soul. And as you become intimate with the soul, you become intimate with the purest desires, the purest intentions that you seek to bring into the world. So as you feel the breath, and as you feel the breath coming in and out, just allow yourself to really connect to the center and the core of your physical being. And as we move through the process today, you will be able to breathe into this core, breathe into this centering that enables you to drop out of your mind space and to a heart center or the core of your being. As you drop down and out of the mind and down into the body, you can listen more deeply to the whisperings of your soul. And you can begin to let that information come forward as we go through the questions here now. So, in your own time, just bring your eyelids to their opened position and become ready to follow through with the questions with us today as we move through this guide to living your soul-filled life mini workshop. So perhaps we could move straight into the first question from here. Are you ready for that, Megan?
Am I ready for that? I'm so ready for that.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. So the first question is, what happened in the past year that you want to enhance or experience more of? So just let yourself stay dropping out of the mind, stay out of the mind, just drop down into the heart space, feel the abdomen expanding, and just feel the energy in the center of your being, and listen from this place, listen from this depth. What's the first thing that pops up, the first idea, the first memory, the first feeling, the first quality that you can recall from the last 12 months that made you feel excited or inspired or motivated? What was juicy for you that you would like to move to and enhance more of or experience more of in the next 12 months?
Beautiful.
Yeah,
And as you say, Carly, let's stay out of our thinking mind and allow the information to come up through from the wisdom of the body, from the wisdom of the soul. And whatever is first, whatever comes through first, get it down on paper. Allow some free association to happen so that you're just writing down what comes through. And if it's lots of images or feelings or just random words, get them down on paper. What happened in the past year that you want to enhance or experience more of?
Yeah, and don't worry about the shoulds at this point in time. Oh, should this or should that or can't because of. Any of the excuses that come up as we move through this process, don't worry about those. Don't worry about whether it's practical or not practical or whether it fits in with the family or the work or the boss or life. Don't worry about any of that. Just feel what comes up. We really want to tune in. We can be more discriminating, if you like, later on when you actually look at what you've got. But for now, in the information gathering process, just let that information come up. Drop out of the mind, drop out of the excuses, drop out of the reasons why not. And if not this, then what? Drop down and listen. Okay, press pause if you to give yourself some time to do this, and when you're ready, click again to come back on and we'll pick up with the next question.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. What do you want to put an end to or let go of from the past year, from the past period of time? So what do you want to put an end to or let go of from the past year? What was it that you consider as you look back that wasn't serving you, that didn't feel right, didn't feel good, that maybe felt restrictive, that you were engaging in that you don't want to engage in anymore? So when you cast your gaze over that past period of time through the internal process of introspection, what is there that you want to let go of or put an end to? And same as before, allow the information to come through, allow the words, the images, the phrases, just free associate and get it down on paper. This is a gathering of that heart soul information time. What would you add to that, Carly?
Yeah, just what was coming up for me as we were talking about this was that there's a lot of the time we don't really want to put an end to something that might be a person or a way of being that we're quite attached to, or that we feel rude to let go of or to move out of our lives. So if for you, what you want to put an end to or let go of is a person in your life, or a relationship, or a way of being, or a quality within yourself, for example. It can be any of these things. It doesn't necessarily have to be some process that you were in or something. So just tune in to whatever it is for you that comes up. And if it is a person, well, just write it down. No one else has to see this except for you. It could be a relationship that doesn't serve you anymore, and it could just be a negative thinking pattern that you've had, or an addictive behavior you've had rolling through your life that you're kind of over, and it's time to really assess it. So whatever it is, it can be anything. Just note it down, drop down into that heart space, and just let it pour out. So
this is a kicking off place. So we're just getting everything down on paper, and we consider it with a different perspective as we come to near the end of the workshop. Okay, so if you're ready, press pause and then come back and join us when you've got all of that information down on paper.
Okay, so let's move on to the third question that we've got on our guide today, and that is, what did you learn from the past year that you can now put into practice in the coming year? So, each year we learn something new, or we even if it's just something minutely small, but we take on new things. Every single year we've learned something. But what might have really come up for you in the last 12 months or so that you'd really like to now put into practice and put into action, or to expand upon in some way? So, whoops, I just knocked my ears out. But what actually comes up for you when you think about, gee, that really made me feel juicy last year. I want to bring more of that into my life. For me, I started to learn how to use some different sorts of video editing software, and I really want to get better at that. And I found that I've gotten more and more inspired at making creative short little movies or something like that. And then how can I bring that more into my life in a creative way that really serves the work that I do and the people that I meet, and how can I affect positive change through that? So I don't know, that's just a little example. What comes up for you with this one?
So we can consider this question in the areas of our spiritual life, our physical well-being, our social relationships, our work life, if we're lucky enough to have our life purpose and our passion and our work life in alignment at this stage, then what comes up there? And our relationships with our intimate partners, our children, our parents, our relationship with food, with money, with our surroundings. What did we learn? What did we learn in the past year that we want to really grow on, build on, and bring into practice more in this coming year? And of course, you don't have to cover all of those areas.
No,
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 just
it might just be,
examples.
yeah, exactly. And there might be a couple of really different ones because as we're sitting here, I'm sort of thinking, so for me, I had that sort of video editing thing on one hand, but on the other hand, I moved around a lot last year and I don't really like moving around that much anymore. But I did find that as I moved around, I could still have some kind of stillness. I could have a center that I could call my still point. And it didn't really matter how much I was moving around, I could still be still internally. So this next 12 months, I could work on keeping that. So I can keep moving around because it was actually quite fun and cool to be doing that again. So just, it could be really extreme on the real practical side, and it could be really extreme on the real internal shift kind of side. So just
Yeah,
play with it, see what
beautiful,
comes up for you. Yeah.
beautiful. So just press pause now, take some time to get your inner experience, what's coming up for you down on paper, and then come back and join us. And what new do you want to call in over the next year? What new do you want to allow to arise in you and through you in the next year? So where my mind goes immediately with that is what qualities do I want to engage within myself in the next year? What qualities do I want to grow and express in my life and in my world in the next year? So I think it feels to me like if I ask myself that question, if I do that in the first person, what new do I want to call in over the next year? And then listen with my heart, with my breath, and allow that wisdom to come through from my soul, then that's a beautiful way of being receptive to that information. And just again, writing it down, not thinking about it too much, not judging it, not considering it too much, just get it down on paper.
Yeah.
Do you want
And
to
again,
add to
it
that,
could come
Carly?
from, yeah, I'm just thinking that it could come from, again, like any of these questions, it might be things that you want to bring in. It might be qualities or ways of being that you want to bring in. There might be new relationships or new roles or new ways of being that are different to how you've been being. So it could be anything from the real tangible to the real intangible. So don't limit yourself to think, oh, well, yeah, I'd like a new car. That's fine. If that comes up, write it down. But don't limit yourself to the new things being stuff that you can see and touch. There's other more intangible things that might be popping up. So just open yourself up to really listen to what might be coming up for you in this, and notice that it's coming up from a deeper soul level. So what you want to really make sure you're doing is dropping back down into the heart space and letting the inspiration and the expiration of the breath connect you back to the soul. So when you press pause, sit there for a moment and really sit with it and think, what new do I want to call in over the next year? And then listen, listen, listen really deeply to the answer. The soul will whisper to you. But the ego will shout over top of it and go, not that, or you want this, or like, yeah, that's not practical. You need to do this, this, and this first. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just listen. Breathe, inhale, exhale, listen. All right, go ahead, press
And
pause.
Carly,
Answer
yeah,
what
oh,
you, yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
add to that a little bit, Cully. I see that I've almost jumped ahead to the next question, actually. And as you were talking, though, what came in for me was, what new perhaps do I want to call in terms of my work life? What goals might I have in a financial way? What goals might I have in my physical health? Or what new do I want to call in terms of how I use my body? So yes.
Beautiful.
So go ahead
Beautiful.
and press pause. Come back with us when you've got that down on paper.
Okay, so we kind of touched on this a little bit when we talked about what new do we want to bring in and call in over the next year. But now we're going to look at what qualities within yourself could you bring forward more of in the next year. So qualities could be tolerance or compassion or patience or happiness or joy or abundance or sensuality or financial intelligence, or there's so many things that this could encompass for you. So just really feel What comes up for you? What do you want to really connect with within yourself as a quality that you'd like to bring forward more of in the next 12 months? So we're really starting to tune into the kind of person, the kind of being that you want to be in the world, and how you want to express yourself, and what qualities are going to be required so that you can do that. What do you want to add to that, Megan?
Beautiful. So as you were talking, I could really connect to the qualities within me that I would like to bring forward more. So there may be qualities for me that show up every now and then, but I don't sort of have an abiding relationship with them if I'm talking about qualities that I want more of. So they just kind of showed up in my consciousness. So for you, as you just notice them just peeking up above the surface, write them down on paper. And if at this stage you are drawing a blank, there isn't a lot showing up for you, that's okay too. We have plenty of space for that, for the not knowing. It's all part of the process. And one way of connecting to the qualities that we admire, that we almost idealize, is to consider people in our external life. So perhaps we know them, or perhaps they're figures in mythology, in movies, in books, all sorts of areas. And we might admire, say, a particular deity or goddess. So what is it about the qualities within that deity that we really admire? Was she courageous? Was she deeply connected to the earth? So that is a way for us to connect to what qualities within us are preparing to come forward more into our waking life, into our consciousness.
Yeah. And so what I might add to that is also, well, deities and archetypes and all of these energies of consciousness that we can tune into is one way to go about it, and it's a powerful way if you really want to go there. Another way is to pick out a celebrity or a relative or a friend or a member of the community or someone that you know or don't know that you really appreciate the qualities of. What do they have going on that you want to bring some more of into the world through your expression of that quality? So you can tune into all of that as well. So sometimes just picking a celebrity that you don't like for example, you might pick Angelina Jolie and go, I love her humanitarian ways of approaching the world, and that she speaks out her truth, or she, whatever, just whatever might just pop up for you about it, about that person that you might want to bring through. And just one more thing on that. Megan mentioned before that if nothing's coming up for you, then just hold the space for don't know. And within that space for don't know, you could ask the question, well, if I did know what qualities I would want to bring in more of in the next year, what would they be? So just to reframe it, hear yourself going, I don't know, and then go, but if I did know, I would like to be more calm or more decisive or more whatever. Just hear what comes up. It'll flow for you in its own time. So, you want to add anything to that one, Megan, or are we drilled into that one enough?
I think we've drilled into it enough. Let's push pause and come back and join us in a moment for the next question.
Great.
Okay, so welcome back. Actually, Carly, this is a perfect time to take some space to let people know about our SoulPlan online course.
Yeah.
And we'll just take a few moments with this, because this is the beauty. This online course that Carly and I have created is this beauty of a little course that can really help you to dive beneath the surface of your everyday experience, to connect to yourself at the level of soul, connect to your life purpose, your path in this life, and bring that forward out and through, that energy information of soul out and through into your everyday life. And the feedback that we've had from people that have done this course is that it just cuts underneath the mind, underneath all of those parts of the self where we're contracted, where we think we can't do things, that we're really not sure what our path is in life, cuts underneath that and connects to the wisdom of our soul. Could you
Yeah.
say a little more about it, Carly, if there's something there for you?
Sure, yeah. What comes up for me around this is that this process that we're going through right here and now, we're trying to just sort of skim through something, and you might notice that there's a lot of mental chitter chatter in your mind as you do this, and that's totally fine. But when we engage in the process of Soul Plan, there's two specially designed processes that Megan and I have put together that one feeds off or leads into the other. So they're done in a certain order, and they take you to a certain depth, which we refer to as your soul, which is the deepest dimension of yourself that is still personal. So there's still some stuff, the soul is the vehicle that goes from lifetime to lifetime, from body to body. And so that's the part of you that has kind of an inner blueprint that you're looking to manifest and bring out into the world. But your conscious mind may not necessarily really have an insight into that unless you start doing some of this sort of work and these sorts of processes. So with Soul Plan, we've really worked hard to really come up with a process that is relatively short and concise and simple and easy and fun, and at the same time powerful and deep and transformative. And the feedback we've been getting from it, of the people that have been doing it, the women that have been engaged in it, is just, it's heartwarming to really get that feedback. The space that we've built, which we've called the Temple, is a Facebook group, and there's a bunch of women in there now that are sharing their process and asking questions and really just starting to come out with how this has been for them or what's going on. We can discuss sticking points if there are any or whatever. It's an evolving thing. And the last thing I want to say about that right now is I just mentioned women, and with women, we've written this for women, we've designed it for women, we speak as if we're just speaking to women, but we've also got a few men that have signed up as well. And as yet, they've not requested to join into the Facebook temple with us, the temple in the sky. But you, as a man, should you want to come in, you will not be turned away. It'll be a special kind of man that wants to come into the temple, and that special kind of man, he's more than warmly welcomed. So if you are watching this and you feel drawn to it, which men are, because the goddess is waking up in men and women alike, and we each have masculine and feminine, the divine level within us, and we each have the yin and the yang that we want to express in certain ways. And we all know there's many women out there that have lots of masculine tendencies, and waking up the goddess in her is a beautiful, beautiful thing to happen. And this is vice versa as well. So I think that's all I need to say about that.
So listen, if you want to find out more about our Soul Plan online course, and thank you for giving it that, describing it with that extra depth, Carly. If you want to find out more, then go to our website, www.soulplan.tv/getsoul. So it's soulplan.tv/getsoul, and you can find out all the nuts and bolts, all the ins and outs of the course. It's a fully online course that you can do in your own time. So just go there if you want to go a little deeper and work a little deeper with us in that way.
And I think I just want to add one more little thing.
Okay.
There's a point of difference with this course, because there's so many courses out there that are really find your soul purpose, find your purpose in life, find this, find that. But the difference that I think Megan and I have got, that we're coming to this with, is 30 plus years, maybe nearly 40 years now, between the two of us of therapeutic practice. And so we're very clear, and our understanding and insight to spiritual growth and development is really quite huge at this point. And so whatever does come up for you in this process, because sometimes the life of the soul path isn't that easy, and it can be challenging, and things can arise, and if it does, then we can help you through that. So I just wanted to sort of put that out there, that there's definitely support here as we go through kind of process in our lives.
There's a deep therapeutic and spiritual and evolutionary understanding and practice. And we are not just about providing information, we're providing support and a capacity to actually work with process and to get underneath that level of understanding of information into the depths of the soul. So you can tell we love this course. Hand on heart, we think she's just a beauty. Shall we move on?
Let's move on. So
All
the
right.
next one, I think this is one of my favorite ones because it really calls us to feel what's going on.
Right.
This one's, yeah, what goals and drives do you have? And so in this, we're really talking about what desires do you have? What desires are coming up from your deepest soul self? So when you do this, when you really want to feel in, and there might be the I want this and I want that. And if it's like, I want an ice cream or something, then there's one level, right? But goals and drives, desires that come from the soul, are probably going to be a little bit deeper than that. So we're really calling you to listen deep and listen to the whisper of the soul, the little urge what's seeking to emerge in this question. You can
we can start with the little ones that come through the mind, the real quick ones. I want a new dress, I want some new shoes, I want an ice cream, I want to go to the beach. I sound like a child, don't I? My child's desires are coming through. So if it was me, if I was working with that, I'd get all that down on paper and just keep going, and now what? And keep going deeper and keep going deeper. Yeah. And as we start to deepen beneath the conscious mind, then that wisdom from the soul, from the heart, from those deep, deep goals and drives can come up and through, and we can get those down on paper. So as you said, Carly, this is deeply connected to desire, but in a way that's our embodied state of connection with our soul self. Yeah. So we need to listen with our heart. We need to move beyond the conscious thinking mind.
Yeah, and remember that which moves you through the conscious mind is the breath. So whenever you get a bit busy in the mind and a bit, that's when you want to take a big inhalation and a big exhalation and just feel the mind moving from contracted to deeper down in the heart space where it'll feel more expanded. And you do that through the breath. So press pause, breathe through, and I love it how Megan just said it. If the simpler ones, the playing around on the beach or the ice cream or whatever, and what's under that, what's under that, what's under that. So go through that right now. That's just the perfect way to deal with this question. Press pause.
Beautiful. So welcome back. And again, I love that connecting in with the breath, Carly. And I notice for myself what I tend to do if I'm engage in the more than mind state, allowing that more information to come through, connecting the breath in through the heart, and also through to the pelvic area. So if I can allow my awareness to deepen into that pelvic area as I breathe into my body, that really helps me to connect to that embodied state of soul awareness.
Yeah, that's so important, because that's where your core is, that's where your center is, that's where your life force is. And to breathe down deep into that place, that's where your soul will live in the body as far as connection goes. You know, the soul's everywhere, but the energy and intelligence and the wisdom will come from that lower abdominal area. So
it's going to bring you back down into the body, huh?
Yeah, totally.
And expand and deepen from that place. Rightio.
Well, okay. The next question. You take this one.
Okay. What do you need to change, enhance, create in order to put these goals and drives into action? So as you consider the goals and drives above this question, now turn your attention to asking the self, what do I need to change, enhance, and create in order to put these goals and drives into action? So for some of us, it could be a simplifying, a clearing of clutter, whether it's internal or external. I might need to change my psychology around the way I think about something to be able to engage my life more fully, to be able to really engage those goals that are coming up for me. I might need to educate myself. I might need to face the really, really hard truth that I am not taking responsibility for a certain area of my life. There is a lot that can show up here, and again, we just ask you to trust. Trust what shows up, get it down on paper without too much judgment, and we will consider it from a perspective, a wider perspective, very, very soon.
Yeah.
Carly, can you add to that?
No, I'm just going to accentuate what you just said about the trust. This is the stuff that you really need to trust, because the mind might not want to change. The mind might not want to enhance or create something new. The mind itself actually doesn't like change. That's why it goes around in the same old all the time. So just the soul will whisper to you. Let it whisper. And the ego, the mind will come after it. And it'll be, you can't do that. No, that feels uncomfortable. I don't like that. That won't work for me. No, 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 no. The ego will always go no. But the soul will go yes. So listen for the yes. That's what you want to hear. And then listen what the soul is saying yes to. And for that you need to trust. And sometimes the best way to trust is to just get that piece of paper and that pen and just write it down real quick. And as soon as it's on paper, it's on paper. And that's when something more tangible can come from it. And you can be practical about it later, discriminate about it later. But right now, just that trust with a capital T. So go ahead, press pause, and we'll move right along to the next question when you come back. So here we are. Let's go into the last question. What within yourself might be holding you back from letting all of the above unfold? So take a look through your whole sheet and all of the answers that you've got. And as you do, just when you press pause, just have a little read of all of these answers. And as you do, just notice where in yourself and what within yourself you might feel resisting it or saying no, or if feeling fear or scary or something. Just feel it. Just really look over it and feel it, and really be embodied again with this. So breathing deep down into the body, really feel what within yourself might be holding you back from letting all of that which we've just discussed unfold.
Beautiful. So what within me might be holding me back from letting the above unfold? Where are the restrictions? Where are the contractions? Where am I holding? Where are the blocks? And if you're a visual person, you might get an image. If you're more body-centric, you will get more of a felt sense in your body, or you might get words, you might hear a voice. Whatever's showing up, get it down on paper. Very important. Just putting it down there. There might be a part that also comes up that says, who, me? No, I can't do that. I couldn't open to that. I'm very happy with where I'm at now. Maybe even write that down on paper, because that's got some really juicy information in there for you.
Yeah. And just something else. What was that just came up while you were saying that? Oh yeah. Again, ego might not like to hear it. Again, ego might not want to really admit what might be holding it back, because again, that might mean that it might have to change. So just again, trust the whisper, trust the little felt sense or the intuitive sense. Just feel into that bit. That's where the gold is. Okay. Go ahead, press pause.
Hey, so welcome back. So now what we're going to do is look over all that you've got down on paper. So there's 2 sheets involved here. Spread the sheets out. Look over them. Allow yourself to have a sort of a stepping back perspective. And we're going to consider all this information that's come through the following lenses. Okay, so the first one is to notice which answers apply to your inner self and which answers apply to your environmental surroundings. So Carly, would you help us understand that more fully, deepen into that a little more?
Absolutely. So with that one, what I would do is get your pen and go through each of the questions, starting at the first one, and just ask, does this answer here, does this apply to my internal self or my external environment? So we're getting really clear on where the shifts need to be made, because if they're within yourself, that's one kind of shift. But if they're an environmental change that needs to be made, that's another kind of shift. There's another different kind of protocol that you might have to sort of apply to make it work. So just go through each and every one of them. And, in our shifts, you might be an attitude shift. It might be a belief system shift or a thought pattern shift. It might be a felt sense that you need to shift within yourself. So you'll know what it is when you take a look at it. Oh yeah, that's definitely internal. External shift might be, I need to readjust that relationship that I engage in, or that home that I live in, or that job that I've got, or the school that my child's in, or whatever it might be. It's something outside of you that you don't have direct access to changing by simply shifting a pattern within your neurological self, if you like, or in your heartfelt sense or your gut sense. It's not inside you, it's outside. So does that make it clear what you're doing with this one?
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that. Seriously, that was great. Really good. Nice and open and understandable. So if you need to take some time now, just push pause and then come back and join us.
So this next one, this is really, really quite important, because now we're sort of making it all quite black and white. So here we're going, which variables do you have control over? So again, you want to go through everything here and have a look at what you've written down as opposed to the internal and the external. Everything internally, obviously, is something you can shift. You can shift anything inside yourself. But externally, you might not have so much choice. There might not be that ability to make anything change with that. It might be just completely out of your control. Nothing you can do about it. So which variables do you have control over, and which variables, therefore, do you not have control over? Because at the end of the day, we can't really do anything about that which we cannot do anything about, so therefore we need to learn how not to worry about that and just accept it as is and move on. What do you want to add to that, Megan?
Oh, yeah. So it's really good to get it down on paper. So which do I have control over? Which do I not? Which can I direct? Which can I not? Because if then I notice that I'm spending lots of time, lots of energy, lots of focus, lots of learning on trying to direct something or control something that ultimately I actually have no control over, then I'm going to get really tired and really drained and pretty unhappy and less engaged in my true path, my true calling. So to actually start to identify, it's actually starting to identify where we have energy leaks, where we have focus leaks, where we're sending our attention and our energy outwards into the world around us, where actually we're just running around in circles. It's not creating any change and may never create change. So there could be some tremendous freedom that comes from identifying those areas.
Yeah, I love that, Megs. I love that the difference between energy leak and focus leak. That's like an energy leak is quite different to a focus leak when you really feel into that.
Indeed it is. Yeah.
So just sort of really feel into that. What are you focusing on that's really wasting your time and that you have no control over? So just go through the questions and have a look at that and go, is this something I have control over, or I do not have control over it? So you can start to get really clear. And that's all we need to say.
And press pause if you need to.
Yeah.
So notice where you need to accept and work with what is, and where you can make changes that will help you manifest your dreams. So notice where you need to accept and work with what is, and notice where you can make changes that will help you manifest your dreams. So that's the being and the doing part. So really getting clear about what's going to serve us in that area.
Yeah. And the acceptance of what is, and the acceptance of what you cannot change. Just really being with that and hanging out in that space, because sometimes when we're hanging out in the space that has all the stuff that we can do nothing about, and it can be really frustrating and infuriating. There's nothing I can do about the situation right now. It's just out of my control. That is sometimes one of the most frustrating situations that you can be in. And so in that sort of circumstance, the only shift you can make is internally. You cannot change what's happening outside of you. All you can do is change how you are responding to the situation. Is your reaction to it creating more suffering? Or have you managed to find a skillful response that you can respond consciously and mindfully and accepting of what is, and as well as being proactive and trying to find a solution that can help you navigate your way through this time? So this is a really important one, and there's a lot in it. And to really be with it, you might have to do a lot of breathing to get through that space that will help you really accept what you have to accept what you need to accept, and work with what you need to work with, let go of what you need to let go of, just be with what is.
Yeah, because this is where we're really using our discerning perspective. Because if I'm going through my life and I'm blanketly accepting all of the stuff in my life that isn't serving me, then I'm going to stay pretty stuck. However, if I'm freaking doggedly fighting, trying to change something, then it cannot be changed. And I have such an internal conflict about it, and that is where there's power, there's deep, such huge power in being able to work with that, and at whatever level showing up for you, accept that, make those internal changes. So to cast our discerning eye over all of this is really, really key here.
Yeah. So
love it.
Yeah, so go ahead, press pause, cast your discerning eye, all it needs to do, and we'll be here when you come back. So let's move on to the very last part of this for now. And the last part, as you'll see, it says hand on heart. Are you willing to give yourself permission to live more fully from your unique soul-filled place? So even if you don't know quite exactly what that looks like just now, just notice how giving permission is like opening the doorway for your soul to really enter and come in and go, all right, I'm in the driver's seat now. And whatever ego, mind, thinky self has to say about that, it doesn't matter, because ego is waking up to a more intelligent way of being, a wiser way of being, a more in tune, a more in-depth way of being. And so when we can start to really connect into this, it's really important. So do you give yourself permission? Are you willing? Are you really into living a more soul-filled life, knowing that it might not make it any easier, or it might not make it any easier on one hand, but on another hand, it is easier because it's really the only option once you flick over to that way.
The soul is a much better driver anyway.
Yeah.
She's like a racing car driver. She's onto it.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that you do this with, really deep sincerity. Am I willing to give myself permission to live my life more fully from this unique soul-filled place?
Yeah.
And wait for the response. And there's certain responses that can arise. There can be a big, yes, I am so willing. There can be a no way, nope, nope, nope. Or there can be a maybe, or a yes and a no. And so all of those places, all of those answers, those responses are perfectly a really good place to launch from. So get them down on paper. Write down what is shouted through you, what is whispered through you. Get it down on paper. Because it doesn't matter specifically so much what comes through. It's our awareness of what comes through, because it's from that place that we can deepen, that we can work with those parts if there's conflict. We can work with that big no if there's a big no. And if there's a big yes, then we can really support that and help you to back that up.
Yeah. Yeah. And just another angle of looking at all of this, in addition to all of that, is when you're asking for permission, recognize that from the mind self, you're asking the soul self if the mind self is willing to trust the soul self, if the mind self is willing to give permission to the soul self, if the mind self is willing to agree that if it would just trust, lean in, and let go to the soul self to drive this body of the vehicle through life, is it in agreement with that? Does that feel right? Is that okay? Resistance might come up, like Megan just said, and a hell yes might come up. Whatever it is, just check in. Where are you at with it? It doesn't really matter where you're at with it, just become aware of where you're at with it.
And can I add just a little to that? If resistance shows up, celebrate that, because it's always been there. It's been underneath the surface. It's been controlling everything. So when we start to identify the resistance, then we can work with it. Then we've got something to grab hold of and to work with. So it calls for a real celebration. If you really start to be aware of that resistance, beautiful, beautiful. We can really, really work with that.
Yeah, good point. Just becoming aware of resistance is, when you know it's there, then you can start to do something about it. But if you don't know it's there, how can you do anything about it? So, and I think that's another, well, I'm about to move forward into another whole, let's talk about SoulPlan again. Are we ready for that?
Go on, hit us with it.
Well, because when you mention resistance, I'm sort of thinking, how do we address resistance actually in the course? And Megan and I can address resistance with you independently, one-on-one, of course, but I was thinking, how do we address it actually in SoulPlan? So like when you download that program and go through those processes and resistance comes up, how's it addressed? And it's actually just addressed in the process itself, because you will come out with a really practical, easy to implement action plan, your SoulPlan. And when you see how simple it is to really manifest those goals in the world, the resistance kind of just dissolves away. So on the whole, there's always an exception to the rule, but it generally seems to just dissolve. And so taking the next plunge, if you've gotten something out of this and it's dipped your toes and whet your appetite, then you might want to go to soulplan.tv/getsoul and check out the information that's on that page, because that'll tell you really more about what it's all about.
Beautiful, Carly. Thanks for rounding it out like that really nicely. So I think we've come to the end of our mini workshop here on living your most soul-filled life, and we really appreciate you being here with us, joining us through this little journey.
Yeah, and it's been lovely to hang out with you, Megan, and do this again.
Isn't it always just so inspiring? It's not about gathering more information, it's about going deeper and really realigning within the self, and then stepping forward in that bright and shining way. As you said, going deeper.
Yes, let me say one more thing.
Okay.
The program, how we've done it, is the process is linked to going deeper each time you go through it. And so while you might just do it once and go, wow, breakthrough, here I go, you might, we're onions with layers, and each layer that you peel off, you might sort of feel like, okay, I've done that part of my soul plan, what's the next part? And you can just run through the process again, and you'll come out with another layer of your soul plan. So the layers of the onion are addressed really quite beautifully, and its ability to be replayed, redone, reworked, redeepened, relayered, whatever you want to call it. So with that said,
it's a tool that you can carry with you on your soul-filled life. Walk in your life purpose, walk in your path. It's a tool that you can keep using again and again.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that said, is it time to sign out? I think we're done.
I think it's time to say goodbye for now, and thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, bye for now.
Okay, lots of love. Bye-bye.